Number one, no one really knows how a company was sold on the basis of assets and profits, but liabilities were put aside, because we have engaged with the workers in the labor committee, and they were repeatedly informed that they were not part of the agreement and nothing to do with them was going to be absorbed in the new KCC. Much later, when they went to court, which you have also listed here, you can see that there is a suit where the employees were actually told that they are owed their dues. So my supplementary question is, first of all, are you aware that there has been conflicting communication to these employees? First, that they are not part of any kind of sales agreement. The second one, they were told that some of them will be absorbed, and some of them had even alluded and presented some things in the labor committee that they had been extended some offer letters on work. So are you aware of that? And then suddenly they were dropped. The other question is it possible for Kenyans to see the documentation of the sale from KCC Limited to new KCC? Because then some of these questions would be answered, including the list of inventory of the assets, including what was going to happen to the employees of KCC. And finally, we, as the labor committee, we were very against the interministerial working group or committee, because there's nothing that they are going to discuss that has not been discussed and proposed by the labor committee. So are you aware that, in fact, the mandate of the interministerial committee has not been outlined and is not to the public? So why do we have an interministerial committee just to buy time and continue to frustrate these Kenyans? Thank you, Speaker.
Honorable CS, you may now proceed to respond to those questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I thank the members for raising these very pertinent issues. Honorable Kamar talked of staff and the shares of the farmers. And I can say here, Honorable Speaker, that most of the staff of KCC that were suitable for employment were taken over by new KCC. And obviously, Honorable Speaker, this has taken time, and most of them have actually retired. On the shares of the farmers of KCC, when the new company, new KCC, through the government, bought the shares of KCC, the government paid off approximately 500 million Kenya shillings. And this money was meant to compensate the shareholders of KCC 2000, which was actually a private company. And I have clearly stated how the companies moved from one stage to the other. Of course, Mr. Speaker, I have had complaints from previous shareholders of the KCC even before it was bought by KCC 2000, complaining about their shares. But there is little that I can do at that moment, because this particular company had already moved. And I intentionally gave you the history of the company so that you can actually understand when I come up with other comments. Mheshimiwa Mbugwa, you talked of about 6 months has taken. It is clearly, and Senator Mkatana has already said this, that actually these particular employees were not supposed to be compensated by new KCC, because new KCC is a complete answer. But because of moral, and we thought these are Kenyans who have worked for all those years. They need compensation, even from government point of view. And I want to assure you that I'm going to take up this issue seriously so that these people are compensated as soon as possible. And in case I have problems, I'll come back to you before this House to say that this is where I reached and these are the problems that I have encountered. Senator Mwanzo talked of ownership. I can clearly state here, and this will cover also the questions raised by Senator Mandago about assets. Assets were taken over, and I'm ready to come with a full inventory of assets that were taken over. In fact, when I assumed office, I ordered a forensic audit on all the assets of new KCC. Unfortunately, I wrote a letter to the Auditor General, but unfortunately she was supposed to send staff to carry out that exercise. Up to this time, she has not done so because of shortage of staff and other pressing engagements. But I will make a follow-up so that a proper forensic audit is done, and I will avail the detailed inventory list of all the assets that were taken over by new KCC. The issue of governance in the cooperative movement is very rampant. And Mr. Speaker, I can say before you that that's why we came up with the Cooperative Bill 2024. The Cooperative Bill 2024 has gone through the National Assembly, and it is before this House. I want to plead with you, Mr. Speaker, that please let the House, the Senate, consider this legislation, the Cooperatives Bill 2024, and if it is passed, it will deal with many of these governance issues, because governance issues of the cooperative movement have been adequately addressed in that particular bill. The issue of assets and valuation, I've promised that this will be available, a comprehensive list, and that I will also remind the Auditor General to do a forensic audit so that both documents of the list I have, already which I have, and the forensic audit, I will present it to the Senate. The issue of Mkatana, I'm with you, Senator Mkatana, about the moral responsibility of the government to make sure that these people are paid, and I'm going to take the responsibility of making sure that these people are paid as short as possible within the time frame. But the issue of interministerial was not the creation of the ministry. This was a recommendation from the AG, Attorney General. He recommended that we discuss. As you might be aware, at that time, cooperatives as a state department was within the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock, so there might be some documents which are there, and that's why they were being brought in the fold, and also the Treasury to make sure that this allocation is expedited for this staff to be paid. On the issue of the minimum price for the milk, I want to state here categorically that it is 50 shillings. And I want to assure you that as I stand here, no farmer is owed any money for the milk that has been delivered, except for the month of March. And in the normal circumstances, farmers are paid between the 5th and the 10th of the following month. So for the month of March, they are going to be paid between 5th and 10th April. And I will want to know or get a list of those farmers who have complained from Senator Veronica who have not been paid at the moment. I'm ready to stand with what I'm saying, that no farmer is owed money. However, most of these farmers work through the cooperatives. The maximum we pay at the moment is 50. This money goes to the cooperatives. Cooperatives will then deduct their own expenses as agreed by the farmers. So the farmers will end up with a net. So depending on the commitments of those cooperatives, some farmers will end up with 43, some farmers will end up with 48, because some of those cooperatives have actually committed some liabilities on behalf of the farmers which have to be deducted. But I can assure you that from KCC, no farmer is paid through the cooperative less than 50 shillings per litre.
Yes, proceed, Honorable Chairs. Senator Mandago, you may approach the chair.
I want, as I have stated, that I will take it as my personal responsibility to just answer the last question to make sure that these particular employees of the new of KCC 2000 have suffered for too long. We will make what is possible to make sure that they are paid as soon as possible. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Senators, will now move to question number 042 by Senator Veronica Maina. Honorable Senator, you may now proceed to ask your question.
Honorable CS, I have this question to pose to you. What immediate plans does the ministry have to revive Kimori Coffee Factory in Kairi Village, Kahumbu Ward in Kegumo constituency, which is critical for the economy of the residents of that area? And question B, could the Cabinet Secretary state the specific, very specific timelines for the revival of this coffee factory and indicate the resources allocated by the ministry for that purpose? And C, what measures does the ministry have for long-term sustainability and economic viability of this factory? Thank you.
Honorable CS, you may now proceed to respond.
Kimori Coffee Factory is the only factory belonging to Kimori Farmers Cooperative Society. Kimori Farmers Cooperative Society split from the larger Njola Farmers Cooperative Society to run separately with only one processing factory. Despite being registered to operate independently, Kimuri Farmers Cooperative Society is now dormant due to unsustainable operations arising from low active membership, low coffee production, and poor governance. Kimuri factory requires the following facilities to revive operations. 1, drying tables, reconnection, and other coffee pulping machinery, and facilities are available. In order to revive the operations of the coffee factory and the cooperative in general, the ministry, in collaboration with the county government of Murang'a, intends to conduct fresh elections, to reconstitute the management committee, build capacity to the newly elected management committee, sensitize coffee farmers within the catchment area of the factory on the need to patronize the services of the cooperative, facilitate the reconnection of electricity to the coffee factory and the coffee farmers within the catchment area, and then finally facilitate the reconstruction of drying tables and services of other equipment and facilities. On question number B, the intervention listed in response A above will be implemented during the financial year 2025-2026, whereby we have factored in the budget provision of 18.5 million for coffee revitalization. Part of these funds will be used to support the revitalization of the operations of the Coffee Cooperative Society. On question number C, the ministry is working with other government ministries, departments, and agencies and is in the process of implementing the coffee revitalization strategy that covers several areas that include policy, both coffee and cooperative policies, legal, both the Coffee Act and the Cooperative Act and accompanying regulations, streamlining coffee marketing and payment systems, increasing area under coffee, amongst others. These measures are expected to improve the sustainability of the factory together with the coffee sectors in general. I submit, Mr. Speaker, sir.
You may now proceed to ask your 2 supplementary questions.
Honorable CS, are you aware that in spite of this answer which you have given and which to a good extent is general, that at the point when this coffee factory was being shut, its annual production was over 1 million kilograms of coffee production, and that right now farmers have to walk over 10 kilometers to access the next coffee factory, as a result of which they have abandoned their coffee farms because of the closure of this factory? And second question is, why have you shied away from giving a specific timeline when you can tell me, Senator Veronica, let's go to Kimuri Coffee Factory tomorrow, we are starting the operations and reviving this coffee factory? You have shied away from giving a proper schedule, and you are the ministry entrusted with ensuring that such factories are revived, so farmers can be able to take their production, their produce to the market.
Honorable CS, you may now proceed to respond.
Thank you very much. Senator Veronica, I'm aware of what is happening and in the coffee sector in general. And that's why we have come up with a coffee revitalization strategy for the year 2025-26, a project that is starting now and will go on for the next 3 years to ensure that we increase coffee productivity, we ensure proper governance within the cooperative sector. And let me tell you this, I'm committed to go with you anytime you are available so that I can make my personal commitment to make sure that we revive this particular cooperative.
Senator Manzo. Yes, Senator Veronica, I thought your question had been addressed.
Yeah, but I need a clarification. There is no schedule served here. He's committed and that I can do the visit, but I want a schedule that goes to revive the factory itself. The visit is the easier part. But reviving the factory, why have you not committed a timeline or a schedule in your response? And can you give a supplementary response to give the timeline for which you'll commit? Because I don't want to believe that you'll take 3 years to revive something that's already existing, which only went down, Honorable CS.
Honorable Senator, I'm telling you, let us go to the ground. Through that judgment, when I'm on the ground, I will be able to tell you definitely this I can take such a long period to do it. Because I'm depending on a question, on answers that have been given to me by the, the county government of Murang'a. So that's why I've said, let me visit so that I can make personal commitment. And secondly, you know that cooperatives is a shared responsibility or a shared function between county governments and national governments. So we have to be, both governments have to be there to see who does what, so that we can coordinate our issues properly.
Senator Boni Kalwale. Senator Boni, then Senator Manzo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you are out of order. Mr. Speaker, allow me to congratulate the new minister for his presence in this ministry. The country remembers that His Excellency, the President, because of the weighting he put on this issue, actually assigned special responsibilities to the former Deputy President to do what you're doing now. And we didn't see his footprints. In a short time, you've blown a strong breath of hope in the coffee sector. And Mr. Speaker, I want to, before I ask, acknowledge your answer in part C, where you have spoken to the coffee revitalization strategy that covers special areas that include policy and so on and so forth. This is very good. But there's something you've left out, and which concerns me. The issue of governance. You and I have been around for a while. You know that the Nordic countries were so interested in this particular cooperative movement that they actually put up a cooperative college in Karen. And that college, I don't know what had happened, Madam Speaker, it was converted into a university. So, and this is the college that would give capacity building in the area of governance in our cooperatives. So given that the university has taken over the college, what are you planning to do to ensure that these skills of governance and then given to these people from a centralized place, recognized like the former cooperative college, the Rotation Nordic? And finally, Madam Speaker, with your permission, the blueprint which you have attempted to give in C gives a lot of hope to all farmers across the country, including our own home, you and I, Kakamega. The people of Shitori Cooperative Shitori Factory in Idaho Central, of Ekolomani, like many other, like Kimuri, are waiting to hear how much money you've put in the budget to ensure that Shitori Factory in Ekolomani, like many others, can actually be revitalized.
Senator Manzo.
Yes, Madam Speaker, you know the minister is on his feet, but I will be as brief as